Hi and welcome to another edition of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude. Today I'm going to show the final result of the M4 Sherman early production by Tamiya, kit number 35190. So let's take a look, see how it turned out. Alright, so here's the finished product, the M4 early production Sherman by Tamiya. As far as the build goes, went together with no problems like usual with the Tamiya kits I've built in the past. I changed my plan up. I was going to use one color scheme, but it wasn't appropriate for this vehicle, so I changed. I was going to go with an all olive drab scheme. But then, looking on the last page of the instructions, I noticed there was a two-tone scheme, so I decided to go with that instead. And this is what I ended up with. I didn't go with any mud or any heavy, clumpy weathering type stuff. I just went with like a, kind of a medium dust coat. I did use a lot of the Vallejo products I haven't really gotten that much into. But I did, there are a few that I do like, specifically for the result they give. One of them was the Vallejo engine series fuel stains, which I did here on the upper deck around the filler, and then here as well. I like the way it looks. It darkens up a little bit without being like black, but it maintains kind of a sheen to it. And if a person wanted, you could probably dust over that with a little bit of a dust coat, maybe some flat, and then put another layer on top to give it kind of a two-tone quality, like old fuel spill and new fuel spill. So that's kind of cool. I used the I also used Vallejo engine oil stains. I like that one as well. It's a little darker, and you may not be able to see it, but I did it in there around the engine bay doors, and I did it on the upper deck here, along the hatch line. Again, I didn't go real, I barely did any chipping, and a lot of it you can't even see. It's very light along the edges, but it's covered by some of the dust around the hatches a bit. But I didn't go for a real heavily chipped appearance. And I'll get into that in another video, kind of my thought processes on the way I'm weathering and abusing vehicles these days. But anyway, the kit did come with quite a few accessories. There's some fuel cans, which I opted not to use. I didn't really like the way they turned out. I'm going to have to redo them, I think. Bogey wheels and spare track pieces. The items I used to weather, and I've mentioned them throughout the video, but if you're just cutting to the final video, I used Tamiya paints. I used the XF64 with a little bit of XF69 NATO black for the brownish color, and then for olive drab I used XF62, and then added a little bit of XF50 or XF60 dark yellow to kind of tone it down a little bit to add some highlights. For the tires, I used, and I have a new item I'm using. I used to use just NATO black to spray tires with, the rubber portions of wheels, but I've changed over to this NATO black from Model Air, which is nice because I can brush this on. I mean, I suppose I could spray it, but if I'm going to spray it, I'm going to use Tamiya over Model Air any day. I like the Model Air. It's like, wow, are you using Model Air airbrush paint to brush? Yeah, it works really well. It's thin enough, and you put a coat on. Generally, it'll cover in one coat, and if not, just go through your series of wheels and then go back through and put another coat on them, and it works really well. And I like it because it's thinner than the model color. I don't have to worry about thinning it, and the fact that it's NATO black is the color I like to use on the tire. The rubber portion works really well. For the weathering, I started out with some oils. I tried the I finally got some of the 502 Abteilung colors, and I have to say that I like them a lot. I talk about it in one of my videos when I start working on with washes and stuff, and it's nice because there's no grain to it at all. On some of the other, like this for instance, Winsor Newton Winton oil colors, I mean, they work and they work well, but they just don't seem to dissolve as much as I'd like, and that's not a problem with the 502 Abteilung. So I use that to do streaking. I use a few different colors. Did a little bit of dry brushing on some of the highlights just to bring it out a little bit more on the running gear here, along the back, along the front, and at certain points around the hull. I used the Ultimate Model Products Ultimate Weathering Wash to clay wash light dirt, and that really turned out nice. It gives a really nice dusty deposited look in all the nooks and crannies. Just brush that stuff on there, and then using a Q-tip / cotton bud, you just rub really well and get all the excess off, and it leaves it deposited in all the nooks and crannies and crevices and around casting numbers and stuff like that. It gives it a nice deposited dust effect. Then for the detail painting, such as the handles, I used just regular old Vallejo model color, and my color of choice for handles and stuff, I take that back, I used Model Air, a Model Air color to get that because it brushes on thin. And then for the steel, I used Vallejo metal color steel. It's not ultra bright, but it gives just enough of a metal sheen, and then once you put a flat coat on, it really dulls it down. And that's pretty much all I did for weathering. And then I sprayed a light dusting along the lower edges and a little bit on the top of Buff XF57 thinned way down, just to give it a kind of a misty appearance. So that's it. That's the Sherman M4 early production. It was a really fun kit to build, and I built this kit just to do something simple because some of the other projects I've got going right now are kind of complex and involved, and I needed a break. And this is the one I came up with. Bought it at a local shop, which was kind of nice, and this is what I ended up with. So the biggest problem now is finding a place to put it, because I'm running out of shelf. Well, I've run out of shelf space. I'm gonna have to start getting creative. So that's that. That is the M4, and I would appreciate any comments. And if you have any questions, drop those in the comments below. Comments, questions, whatever, in the comments below, and I will get back to you as quickly as I can. So stay tuned for the next edition of Plastic Models by a Regular Dude, and I will see you all later.